At long last, the cat is finally out of the bag, and I can finally talk about this thing that I've known about for almost a year now, which is the Steam controller. And boy, is this puppy not like any game controller you've ever seen before, because it is able to basically compensate for not having a mouse and keyboard. You can play strategy games with this thing. You can play Euro Truck Simulator with this thing. You can play just about darn near anything. Farmville, whatever, doesn't matter. It can be done. And here's how. Long story short, you have haptic feedback in these controllers. You've got two very nice rotary sticks that are kind of like the one on the iPod, the original iPod, but way more precise. You have full touch control. You have a screen in the middle, which when you start scrolling through it will actually show up on the screen in front of you in the Steam overlay, and you can tap the four corners and they'll do things depending on where you tap. So you actually have a physical touch. Like you have, it's not like a touch screen where you just tap it and stuff happens. No, it actually inputs. It'll actually slide in a little bit when you press into it, just to give you that little extra bit of touch feedback. In addition, you've got traditional touch buttons here and in the back and all sorts of stuff. Select and start and back and whatever else you need to do. Everything is fully customizable using the Steam interface, and they want the community to bind the buttons for every game on Steam. So, like, first one I'm going to power up is Lightfish, and I'm going to bind, like, the controls to Lightfish for this thing unless somebody beats me to it, because nobody's even played that, and it's one of my favorite games on Steam. But my point is, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with this thing, and the community is going to be allowed to basically contribute how those inputs should work. Developers will also get more control, and they'll be able to use the API like out of the box. They will be sending out 300 dev units soon, which will have just 4 buttons in place of the touchscreen. But, you know, it's coming. This thing is coming really soon, and it's exciting. So let's talk about the announcement as a whole. Now that we've gone over the basics of what the controller is about and go into more depth about, you know, what Steam is planning with this major update, as well as what the controller is going to be bringing. So first off, SteamOS. If you haven't heard about SteamOS, it's been out for a few days now. I've been talking about it. It's basically a Linux-based operating system, kind of like Ubuntu. It's got a theme to it, but the theme in this case is Steam. So it's going to be optimized for gaming. It's going to have 3D interfaces. It's going to have user-generated content. You're going to be able to submit and have your submitted apps and things voted on and approved, kind of like the Greenlight process, but for programs. And I'm sure Valve will do an awesome revenue share with those people who sell apps and programs on there. And, you know, it brings more viability to the fact that Steam is now going to be selling software in addition to games on their store, because you're going to be wanting software to run on your basic, you know, Steam Box PC. If you end up getting a fully dedicated Steam Box PC and you replace Windows 100% with this, you're obviously going to want some apps like Microsoft Word and stuff like that. So maybe there'll be a version of Word for Steam soon coming out. Who knows? You get in-home streaming, family sharing, family options, music, TV, movies, all of the standard stuff you get, blah, blah, blah. It's an OS. We get it. So that's awesome, that's simple, that's plain, and we can be done talking about it. Whether people, and like, whether the 5 million people logged into Steam right now decide to, you know, convert a portion of their hard drive over to SteamOS to get a dedicated partition is yet to be seen. We know that not every game is going to be able to run on this yet. They're working on that, but not every Windows-made and Mac-made game is going to be able to run on this off the bat, because there's just something with Linux that you have to tweak a lot of your, you know, settings and stuff to get it to actually run on that OS. So obviously, I'm not even sure if that's even going to take off the ground. It didn't work for Ubuntu, but Ubuntu didn't have, like I said, 5 million people logged in at any time of the day playing games on their system. So now we have Steam Machines. This is just for developers mostly and people who want a box in their living room. I actually hooked my PC up to my television with 50-foot HDMI. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but it's pretty easy to do, and HDMI cables are cheap, and if you already got a gaming rig, what's the point of getting a new dedicated box? Some people, though, don't have a good gaming rig, so a box is perfect. So Valve is making a prototype. They're sending out 300 of them, and they've got this quest page you can log into, and basically it will show you 4 tasks. You have to join the Steam Universe group. So here's the group. They're at steamcommunity.com/group/steamuniverse. You got to join them. You got to have at least 10 friends on your Steam friends list. You got to create a public Steam community profile, and you have to launch and play a game using a gamepad in big picture mode. And there are some workarounds if you don't have an Xbox controller sitting around. I've seen them already in the community group, actually. In fact, let me look at the discussions now. Somewhere where there was like a need help with a 10 friends requirement. Oh, wow, people are friending each other left and right. That is awesome. I love that this is like bringing people together and actually making people friends. But there was something on here that was talking about a controller override. I don't know if it's still around. All you controller beta badge cheaters. That's funny. People are complaining about it. So obviously this has erupted in some flame wars and fun stuff, but who gives a damn? It's just Steam being Steam. So after that's done, you get the badge. You can jump through some legal hoops by completing this form required for beta participation, which is just store.steampower.com/hardware-beta, and you can just put in your shipping address and everything like that. So good stuff. All right. So let's get on back to the controller and talk about what this is really all about, which is that sexy Steam controller announced just today, a new way to play your entire Steam library from the sofa. Join the Steam hardware beta and help us shape a new generation of gaming. So, what is it? It's not a standard gamepad. It's not going to be the Xbox-styled gamepad that Nintendo has now copied, that PlayStation has been using, the dual thumbstick setup. It's not going to be anything like that. It's not even like the Sega Dreamcast. It's not even like the Wii. There's no game controller like this. I mean, just look at the damn thing. There's nothing like this. I mean, when have you seen A and B and X and Y on different sides of the controller if we're used by different thumbs? I mean, blah, blah, it's just so weird. I mean, the closest thing you could come to is maybe the Wii controller with its touchpad in the middle, but this is miles beyond that. We've got 2 touchpads and a third in the middle. Anyway. So what do you have? You have the complete catalog. This controller will work with every single game on Steam, past, present, and future. The older titles in this catalog, ones which were not built with the controller support, we fooled those older games into thinking they're being played with a keyboard and a mouse. And we've designed a gamepad that's nothing like either one of those devices. We think you'll agree we're onto something with the Steam controller, and now we want your help with the design process. Traditional gamepads force you to accept compromises, and we've made a goal to improve upon the resolution and fidelity of input that's possible with those devices. It's similar to how, with the iPhone, when it first came out, it was the first device that took away tactile input from buttons and put in a massive touchscreen that does all the input for you. This is like that touchscreen, but it also has tactile input still, and haptic feedback, and all the stuff that you'd want from a hardcore gaming controller that lets you have precise aiming and skill and stuff. So this is pretty darn awesome. Don't think of these as thumbsticks. Never think of them as thumbsticks. They're going to be modular areas which you'll be able to set and enable any kind of input onto that you need. And you can also press them in as buttons too. Dual trackpads. So basically, like having a keyboard and mouse, this could be WASD, this could be the mouse. You get the idea there. It even mentions Euro Truck Simulator 2 in the description. Like, you should try and, even play with that. Yeah, it'll work. They talk about the haptics. There's actually a really cool parlor trick that they mention here that I actually got to see, which is that you can play music through the speakers. Like, they'll actually thump and play sound. And that was one of the things I did when I was actually designing the game Rush Brothers, which is now on Steam. I was actually thinking about using that kind of haptic feedback, where if you basically were to play the game, it's music based. There's music going on and stuff. So I'm trying not to plug my own game here, but basically what I wanted to do was I wanted that haptic feedback to come out through the controller. So whenever you see a speaker go off, or whenever the music has a beat to it, you'd also hear it coming out of the controller speakers and being played through its haptics. And that was sort of why Rush Brothers became a thing in the first place. And it's just because I knew this was coming out and I wanted to make something around it. But yeah, you've got really close together. That's something I hate about the Wii U since I got it, is you have really close together bumpers and triggers. And I mean, I hate that the Wii U's bumpers and triggers are miles away from each other. Your finger has to basically travel a quarter of the way around the entire controller just to get back to the trigger after you've been using the bumpers. Here, bumper trigger, same thing. And you also got these grips here, which I'm not sure what those are for yet, because I haven't really gotten to hold one of these in my hands proper. But I think that those might also be additional inputs that you could use for things. So yeah, let's look at what you'd do if you were to play Portal 2 on this thing, for instance. So blue portal will be the right trigger, orange portal is the left trigger. Pretty simple. To zoom out, you'd use the left bumper. To zoom in, you'd use the right bumper. To look around, you would use the mouse, which is basically the entire feedback area here. Movement would be the entire feedback area here. So you'd have very similar to the Xbox, where you've got, look and move. You can view your partner with the tab button, which is going to be what is X, I believe. Push to talk is going to be there. Toggle zoom is going to be in the back. It's going to be, okay, so that button, that large button I'm talking about here, that's going to, actually this button here will be toggling your zoom. And then if you press it here, that's going to be your crouch. So you basically use the entire underside of your hand except for your index finger. So you're going to use your pinky, your ring finger, and your middle finger to press this in, and that's going to be your crouch. That's very natural feeling when you think about it. Gesture menu, Q. You just press that to get to your gestures and do some cute little gestures, and then you can instantly flip from that to your thumb to pick the gesture. Communication, F. So that's your push to talk, actually. No, wait. I'm sorry. That's for typing. Okay, so I'll let you type. And then in the corners of each screen, quick save, quick load, take a screenshot, and chat message. So, yeah. Oh, I see. So that's going to be for chatting. I guess, wait, if that's push to talk, what's communication? Maybe I'm lost on this one. Does anybody remember? I don't know. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, they want to be completely open and let users create their own inputs for games, and then you can vote on which inputs you like the best, and all of that jazz. It will, I believe that the Steam Machine will come with a wireless version of this. The first 300 will come with wired versions that look basically like this, if you can see it up close. Sorry, let me zoom in on it. With 4 buttons, basically in place of the touchscreen's 4 sections you can tap in. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to talk about here, other than that the corners of the touchscreen are able to be touched in. I think I already said that, though. I think that's it. I think that's basically all I have to really say about the new Steam controller for now. Let me know in the comments what you think about the new Steam controller. If you think this is a great idea or an absolutely terrible idea. If you think this will not feel as good as a keyboard and mouse, what would you do differently to try to emulate that keyboard and mouse feel in a two-handed controller? Blah, blah, blah. Just feel free to lay it out for me in the comments section. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. It's stuff that YouTubers say at the end of their videos. I don't really know why they all do it. It's the same shtick everywhere you go. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my silly little video talking about the controller. And I'll let you know more as soon as I hear more. But I do know this. I really like the way the controller feels in the hand from what I've seen, what I've heard people say about it. I know it seems kind of dreadful looking at the start, maybe. But trust me, it's actually quite natural. And obviously, this is Valve. Valve tends to not make mistakes on stuff like this. I mean, they've never done hardware, to my knowledge. This is their first leap into hardware. And let's hope I hope they don't turn into another Atari Jaguar. Let's hope they turn out more like a Sega Dreamcast, only with more financial success. Yes. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic weekend.